the southern music that gets you going in the morning time. The song of Chariots of Fire. What a better way to wake up on the Monday morning, the 18th day of the month of October. Good morning, a wonderful good morning to Monday morning to you. It's another great day in God's wonderful creation, allowing you to stir yourself, awaken your spirits to another great day, and we're so happy that you've chosen Classic in the morning time. Good morning, good morning to you, and certainly happy that you're here and you're up and you're about and you're ready to do this Grenada. My name is Joseph Cadore, and it's a pleasure being here with you on a Monday morning. Hope you had a really great weekend, and you've counted your blessings because you're still here in the land of the living, alive and well, and ready to meet the demands and askings of another great day in God's wonderful creation. Another day that allows us, as I said, to change the paradigm, allows for a paradigm shift, change the course, the trajectory in which we're on, and allows us to do better things and become the next best version of ourselves. Good morning to you, wherever you are within the sound of my voice. It's the sound of Classic in the morning, Classic 105.5 and 105.9 on the FM band, and I'm happy that you're here, up and about. Let's do this, Grenada. Let us do this. If you're heading to work for 7 o'clock, then you should have already left home. Yes, you should have left home and already be on your way. So let's get into a few matters of the day just to keep us entertained and informed. So what is the word of the day? The word of the day is Zaftig. Yes, Zaftig is the word of the day. An unusual one. It doesn't sound anywhere close to English, does it? But either way, it is a word that's been adopted into the English language. So the word of the day is Zaftig, and Zaftig is an adjective. Zaftig is an adjective, and it is spelled Zaftig. Zaftig. The word of the day, Zaftig, and Zaftig means having a full, rounded figure. Portraits of the Zaftig models are exhibited in the artist's collection. The word of the day, Zaftig. Now, Zaftig is one of the Yiddish-derived words that entered the English language during the mid-18th century and early 1900s, and came from the Yiddish Zaftig, which means juicy or succulent. It's derived from Zaft, which means the juice or the sap. Yes? So the word for today is Zaftig. Zaftig. Another word that you can add to your vocabulary on a Monday morning. Indeed. And it's always good ever so often to allow yourself, to add a new word to your vocabulary. There's nothing to lose. Literally nothing to lose. So, well, we added because, of course, COVID remains an ever-present threat. Let's just take a look at what's happening on the COVID side of things. So, of course, we continue to realize that the numbers, they continue to decrease, and we are quite happy with that as of yesterday, yes, the latest, we had a total of 12 new confirmed cases. And trust me, that is a far cry. That is good news compared to where we were a couple of weeks ago. So the total amount of active cases is 132. We've seen, as of that yesterday, there were 27 new recoveries, and the number of persons hospitalized, 21. So great news indeed for us. The cumulative number of deaths, 192. And if my memory serves me right, I think that's where the death total was at Friday, which is good news. It means that nobody died over the weekend. Thank God for that. So the total amount of deaths, 192. So we're giving God thanks and praise that the numbers are decreasing, but I want to encourage you not to become complacent in any way, form, or fashion, because that's the worst thing that you can do, and we lose track of what is really, really, really important. So while we do that, on the whole question of not losing track, you are reminded that the vaccination drive continues today. Let's look at what's happening at the vaccination locations. So there is the standard location at the Kennedy James Stadium, Gate B, and at all health centers and at the Grove New Polyclinic. At the Polyclinic is from 9 until 3. That's for today. Then tomorrow, well, every day we at the stadium. But you are reminded, for those of you opting to make your presence to visit the health centers, you are encouraged to remember, one, that you must call and make an appointment before visiting the health center. You must. And so we want to take a look at some quickly, just run through the numbers for the health centers in case you need it. The St. George's Health Center, St. George Health Center is 440-3371. Inside of Grand Bryan, St. Andrew, it is 442-7623. In St. David, 444-6249. Sotez, 442-9317. Inside of Grove, it is 444-8414. And Hillsborough, Carriacou, 443-7280. The numbers inside of the different health centers. And there are actually locations on Tuesdays. You can visit Sam's between 12 and 3 to get your tested and your vaccination. So keep that in mind. Let's continue to play our part, Grenada. Play our part. This is a victory for each and every one of us, and we want to make sure that we continue to play our part and do that which we have to do to ensure that the numbers, it remains contained. Yes? So don't decide to get all happy-go-lucky and lose track of what is important, and then you realize that we're all on our own. We're keeping our eyes on the clock, though. It is 17 minutes on to the hour of 7 o'clock. In just a bit, we'll link up. You get the morning edition, production of our news and current affairs department, at which time our friends on television, you'll get a recap of some of the top stories from last week, which was the week in review. Then I'll rejoin you on television at around 15:15 the hour, and we'll be linking up with the deaths of the elderly and our friends of Nicholas Snaggs and others as we look at Month of the Elderly, and certainly what is happening to our senior citizens, what can we do to become better as a society. To the point today at 9 o'clock, I'll be speaking with President of the Jury, Jude Bartholomew, as it would all things related to the teachers as we look forward to the formal re-entry of our students into the classroom once the all clear is given. So that's the plan for the day. I hope you also have your own individual plans that you would work on. I normally encourage you every day, try to be the next best version of yourself. Reminding you that whatever happened yesterday is all gone, Grenada. Say to yourself, as of now, at the 18th of January, of 18th of October, at 16 minutes onto the hour of 7. It doesn't matter what I've done yesterday. It is history. What's important? Where to from here? There is tomorrow, which I look forward to. But in order to achieve tomorrow and fulfill my dreams for tomorrow, I have to first live today and be the best that I can be, and certainly that's all that is required. While I'm at it, I also want to send a special good morning and congratulations to all of the nation's children, those that were successful in regional exams. Not just successful, those of you who received your results, because success, it's relative. You may not have achieved everything that you wanted in terms of passing, but it is a success because life is progressive and you're on a journey. For those of you who were totally happy with your results, reminding you that this is not journey's end. Don't get swell-headed. Oh, I got 9, 10, 12. This is journey's end. It's a path. It is progressive. For those of you who missed the mark a bit, it gives you an opportunity to refocus, reshape, rethink, and re-energize what is the plan as we go forward. Yeah? There's no need to crying over spilled milk. You must have gotten it wrong somewhere. And I normally say to individuals that the results that happens that one realizes very often is not necessarily a reflection of who your child is. It may just be a reflection of how they performed on the day. Really and truly. So what do? It doesn't matter where they are in life. You want to encourage them, encourage the children, encourage them parents that they can do and be the best that they can be, not just on a Monday morning, not just on the 18th day of October, but any day, any time of their life. The morning edition is next right here in Classic. For those of you that's on television, you get a rebroadcast of the week in review that comes up in just a bit. JC loves you. I'll be back with you on the other side of the clock as we continue Good Morning Grenada right here in Classic 105.5 and 105.9. As I remind you, my Classic listeners, Classic 105.5, 105.9, that it is indeed a beautiful world.
A 3-month supply of prescribed medications on hand in the event of an emergency or disaster. Keep medications in a sealed, labeled container that you can carry with you at a moment's notice if you need to evacuate. A message from the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council in collaboration with the Ministry of Health with support from the Pan American Health Organization.
Are you looking for quality herbs and herbal supplements? Or are you thinking about having a complete body cleanse to jumpstart your health? Then no need to look further. Visit Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center, and Natural Health Store. We carry a wide range of herbal products for kidney and gallstone cleansing, male sexual enhancement formulas, asthma and sinusitis, gas and bloating, acid reflux, constipation, arthritis, imbalanced hormones, female health issues, liver cleansing, weight loss, and so much more. Also available, colonic irrigation, holistic health consultations, essential oils, and diffusers. Look out for our online natural health store coming soon. Call 231-6642 for 18-7115 or 449-7753 to find out about our delivery options or to book an appointment. Visit us at Belmont St. George's, close to the Foliage, Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nirvana Natural Health Clinic. Detox your way to health.
State-of-the-art Ultratech gasoline and diesel, available only at Rubis stations.
There was good news for public servants this past week. One of the island's credit unions came to the fore to help them get outstanding salary payments owed to them by the government. Arise Credit Union announced on Thursday that it had purchased government bonds to enable the payment of the outstanding 4% salary increase to public servants.
Arise Credit Union has come to the aid of the government of Grenada and the public officers as the financial institution purchased $4 million of the government's bond, which were offered to public officers as a salary increase back payment. The bonds offered as outstanding payment for the months January to July 2021 were rejected by the unions in July. CEO of Arise, Lucia Livingston-Andel, in a phone interview with GBN, stated that by 31st October, Arise will pay $4 million cash directly into the accounts of public officers.
So we have been approached to purchase $4 million worth of bearer bonds. These bonds bear an interest rate of 3%, and of course it's a one-year bond payable at the end of the year. And we did the analysis and saw it was an investment that we can do, and therefore we agreed to proceed to purchase these bonds, and we will redeem them at the end of the year. All of the payments will be made between now and the end of October. We also have a list of financial institutions to which some employees have had their salaries assigned. And Ariza will be sending checks to these organizations, and they will advise their members and their customers when they can collect their payments or when the amounts will be paid to their account.
The CEO said the initiative is yet another way that Ariza continues to be an ally to employees in the public sector and respond to the needs of its membership in this evolving economic climate.
When we were approached, we immediately recognized that, and we, in keeping with our mandate to support and provide services to our members, that we have to come forward. Public officers are the backbone of Ariza. And of course, we know that without them, we don't have a credit union. And therefore, we do all in our power to provide support at the appropriate time, especially now within the current economic situation.
The government and the trade unions representing various public officers signed a collective agreement in 2019, covering a 4% increase for the years 2020 to 2022. But in late 2020, the government sought a deferral in the payment of increases for 2021, claiming that the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic resulted in a dramatic decline in the government's revenue of more than 50%. However, the unions and some of their membership responded by taking industrial action to demand their 4% increase, doubting the government's ability to pay. The government then proposed that payments would be made in August, but payments for the first 7 months of 2021 was still a point of contention. That is now being settled. For GBN News, I am Rena Pett Thomas reporting.
In other news, the saga of severance pay disbursement of former Liat workers continues. The unions representing the airline and employees are yet to reach a solution to the more than 2-year-long dispute. GBN spoke to the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown, who provided an update on the matter.
Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda Gaston Brown says past employees of Liat in Grenada are among those being offered cash, bonds and land as payment to cover the 50% severance pay put on the table by the airline. According to him, though the airline is still operational, in its present state it is unable to meet the full $100 million payment.
I mean, as you know, the shareholding of the governments would have been limited to the extent of their shareholding. The Antiguan government, for example, would have pumped hundreds of millions of dollars in Liat over the years, and I will accept that would have had economic benefits, but at the end of the day, would have lost a few $100 million that we pumped into Liat over the decades. But in terms of any legal liability arising from the collapse of Liat, the governments do not have any such liability. And it is well known that Liat's assets are such that if you sell them on a piecemeal basis in liquidation, they may only get about 5% of their severance liabilities.
The airline is owned by the government of Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Dominica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Prime Minister Brown says the offer on the table is beyond what can be obtained in the court of law. He made it clear that the Antiguan government is in no way responsible for paying the debt.
So what is really required is full cooperation. You find that some union leaders making unreasonable demands. They're making demands in which they have no legal basis so to do. And as I've said to the other unions, if they really think that they owe 100% of their severance and staff liabilities, go to court and prove it. It's of Antigua and Barbuda. If we were liable based on our shareholding in Liat, we had a shareholding of about 35%. So it would have meant that the liability would have been 35%. The fact that we're offering 50%, as I said, is just a very lucrative offer. And I don't know why the union leaders do not recognize that they don't have a legal leg on which to stand. They can't force the government to pay them anything.
The Antiguan leaders says so far the unions involved have rejected the offer made by Caribbean stakeholder governments, making it difficult to find an amicable solution.
I mean, we're doing this on a compassionate basis, and if they take the 50% from Antigua and Barbuda, now the government chip in, then clearly they may get up to the 100%, but ask the Antiguan government to pay 100%, I mean, that is neither morally equitable or legally equitable. I mean, and then we're not going to increase our offer. Our offer stands at 50%, and we're just waiting for them to come to a consensus among themselves and to accept the offer.
Prime Minister Gaston Brown was speaking on GBN's primetime current affairs program Beyond the Headlines on Monday. Attempts have been made to contact the union that represents Grenadian LIAT workers, but all calls went unanswered. For GBN News, I am Rena Thomas reporting.
Meanwhile, the President General of the Grenada Technical and Allied Workers Union does not agree with the stance adopted by the Antiguan Prime Minister. Mr. Andre Lewis says regional governments lack the will to end the LIAT dilemma, which leaves former employees languishing in poverty. Jared Joseph spoke with Mr. Andre Lewis on Thursday.
GTAO President St. Andre Lewis tells GBN that the union, beyond the regional perspective, has engaged Grenada's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell to garner any assistance it can provide for local LIAT workers. St. Louis says the issues facing Grenadian LIAT workers not only include severance pay, which is being dealt with regionally, but also outstanding matters such as negotiated salary increases.
And all of those matters were quantified since last year or even before last year. But given the problems that LIATs had been facing over the years, these matters remained outstanding, and then we went into the quote-unquote liquidation of LIAT.
The Antiguan government has offered regional unions to pay 50% of the severance, plus lands and bonds. The union leader says the unions have since brought forward practical issues on the proposal to the court-appointed administrator, who has sought further clarification.
Because the question that will arise, or has arisen, is, so let us say workers in Grenada agrees to land, for instance, and let us say the land is in Antigua. And I'm just using this as an example because that's where the directions were pointed. How does a Grenadian LIAT worker benefit from land in Antigua?
On GBN's Beyond the Headlines program on Monday, Prime Minister Gaston Brown impressed that this is an extremely lucrative deal, noting that regional governments have no legal obligations to pay.
In terms of any legal liability arising from the collapse of LIAT, the governments do not have any such liability. And it is well known that LIAT's assets are such that if you sell them on a piecemeal basis in liquidation, they may only get about 5% of their severance liabilities paid.
However, the GTAO president says the regional unions believe otherwise.
All the workers who have been part of the LIAT family continue to lavish in poverty from the fact that they have been left unemployed through no fault of theirs. And these workers, not just in Grenada, but LIAT workers throughout the region, have contributed significantly to the company. Even in some of the bigger crises of the company, workers made sacrifices in terms of their pay, the benefits, to ensure that the airline stayed in the air. And therefore, there's this obligation that the governments of the region have to ensure that the LIAT workers get what is due to them.
Senator Lewis reiterates that regional unions have not refused the proposal and are still hopeful of a resolution in the near future. I am Jared Joseph for GBN News.
Within a few days of a home invasion in St. Andrew, which left a senior citizen shaken, another report surfaced last weekend. GBN's Rena Thomas spoke to the family of the latest victim.
Frightened, restless, traumatized, and terrified are some of the words used by Jessie Bowen to describe how her 73-year-old cousin is feeling after she was robbed and raped at her home in the early hours of Wednesday morning. According to Bowen, the victim, who lives alone in the St. Andrews area, was attacked at around 3 a.m. by a man she said was wearing dark-colored clothing, gloves, face, and head covering. She repeated the story the victim told her in this Zoom interview.
Around 3 a.m., she heard her front door close, and she just, because of the sound it makes when it's closed, that woke her up. But she lay on her bed trying to figure out, well, like really what was going on, you know. And then she saw a light in her back bedroom. And by the time she think of getting off her bed, the next thing was a man opened her bedroom, which is the first bedroom to the front, and with a knife in his hand against her neck.
She said the unexpected elderly woman was not only robbed of her money, phone, and groceries, but also her dignity.
She offered him, she says, take anything you want. You want money? Take it. He took whatever money she gave him. He also looked under her pillow and saw she had 2 cell phones there, which he took also. With all that going on, he still had the knife at her neck. The next thing he did was push her onto the bed and decided to rape her.
All through the dreadful ordeal, the family members said that the victim stated she was in pain as she suffered from various illnesses. After the intruder allegedly took what he wanted and left, the victim called for help and the police arrived later. At present, the 73-year-old is finding it difficult to sleep in her home and is now living with neighbors until the family put other security measures in place for her safety.
Very shaken up, and she said that every time she closes her eye, what she sees is this figure of this person over her. She's scared to go back to her home, so right now she is at a neighbor. We are going to try to give her that kind of security as soon as possible. And she is a bit hard of hearing, so that's why it took her, I guess, a while to realize that somebody was in her house.
Bowen said the victim received medical attention and a report was made to the police. The family of the victim is seeking justice for their 73-year-old relative. GBN contacted the Royal Grenada Police Force and was told that an investigation is ongoing and that more information will be disclosed to the public soon. Investigation into the rape of 84-year-old Margaret Noel 2 years ago also remains under investigation, as well as the recent attack of vandalism in her home. Police are also investigating the attack on 83-year-old Neville Alexander of Moncton St. Andrew, who said he was attacked by 2 young men on his farm. For GBN News, I am Rena Pett-Thomas reporting.
These recent cases begs the question about whether the elderly among us have become targets of perpetrators. Shouldn't they at least be respected? Well, some of the nation's senior citizens have been speaking out on the several fights they experience. GBN's Chrislina John has been listening to their thoughts on the subject.
During the past week, GBN brought you the stories of 2 elderly individuals in the 80s coming under attack by young people. One was made to vent for his life, having found thieves on his farm. The other, a victim of multiple break-ins and rape. Another complained to GBN of being a victim of ridicule at a business establishment in St. George by a security officer stationed there. The recent spike in COVID cases has already claimed the lives of many elderly citizens. As according to Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell, at least 130 of the 180 COVID-related deaths recorded in Grenada are people described as elderly or senior citizens. As the month of October has been designated the month of the elderly, GBN wanted to hear and share their experiences and what they would like to see put in place for them.
They don't provide nothing for us, such as good medical, or if you... Well, I don't even know what to say, because I get so confused with this COVID thing, because they're not addressing it right. The reason why they don't addressing it right is because I do believe the leaders of our country lying for us. Elderlies eat good food and stay up.
Digital equity for all ages is the theme for the month-long observance. These individuals expressed concern about the older citizens not being techno-savvy, especially in accessing their finances and paying bills.
For the old people, they shouldn't have to be lining up to go in supermarket, to go and pay bills, or do nothing. They are elderly citizens. As soon as they come, first priority, right? The bank with this telecard and all these things, and they're putting pressure on our people to pay bills. That is too strenuous for them.
I find you must have the ministries, like when paying bills for the eligible people, especially for the eligible people. When they come to pay the bills, they're supposed to be paying one area. We're not supposed to go to one apartment and go to the next department again.
This lady told GBN her encounter is with impatient drivers.
A lot of drivers, particularly the bus drivers, they feel that, as an elderly person, you shouldn't be on the road, you're in their way, and that sort of thing. They make such comments. But you have a business to run, you have things to get on with, so you get on with it anyway, in spite of their comments.
Another believes the answer is prayers, especially with the times being faced with.
Better healthcare, good road, right? And we're living in the days of the last days. They're dying by the dozens. So this kind of system we're living in the days in our. So what I think we need to do in this time, put God as the only Savior and trust in Him. God is the answer right now, not man, because man is deceiving. So we have to pray, and we have to pray a lot. I think the answer is pray right now.
Christina John, GBN News.
We recently carried a story in which an elderly farmer from Mount Horn was viciously attacked on his farm. In an exclusive interview with the GBM, he suggested that the Farm Watch program be activated as means of protection for farmers in various communities. Agriculture Senator Roderick St. Clair says there has indeed been a push towards the return of the Farm Watch program, and discussions regarding other initiatives to protect farmers are ongoing.
Agriculture Senator Roderick St. Clair says the level of presence for the deterrence of such acts of violence on farmers, as well as prudent larceny, is warranted. Noting the significant basket of contributions farmers and fisherfolk provide toward Grenada's economy, the senator says more respect must be forthcoming. Senator St. Clair says while arming our farmers or the use of cameras and drones have been considered, he believes involving the community will garner a more holistic approach.
You have the community as another layer, who would see, movements in those areas, and they're like informants, if you want to say, who can contribute to this whole issue. So even using the rural police stations like the Birch Grove and Hermitage and all of those helped as another layer. So it's a multifaceted approach.
He says the police also need more resources to handle such crimes and that it be given a priority. The Agriculture Senator points to a lack of policy and human resources to implement measures to eliminate issues facing farmers and fisherfolk as other major factors.
When you look at the Ministry of Agriculture, look at the Ministry of Fisheries, you would realize, and I've spoken to that many individuals from way back when would have gone through retirement, and we have failed to employ and replace these individuals because of this policy. And so if we are doing that, how under heaven in this whole world we expect it to happen? If you had someone, for example, responsible for poultry, for example, in the Ministry of Agriculture, who would have retired maybe 2 years now, and you have not replaced this individual, we're not saying that you cannot put somebody there who may kind of keep tabs, but that dedication which is needed is absent. And so this is the first principle for implementation.
Despite the competing interests, Senator St. Clair says the sector deserves more respect in terms of delivery. I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
Imagine having the home of your dreams. Imagine investing in that piece of property you can call your own. Imagine finally doing that home improvement project you've always been thinking about. It's time to stop imagining and start doing. Let the GUT Credit Union help you take the first step with fantastic rates, affordable repayments, and reduced legal fees. Make the move. Get better terms on your mortgage. Use your home equity to make those dreams a reality. Act now. There's really no place like home. GUT Credit Union. It's where you belong.
Introducing YouTube and TikTok to the Digicel Prime Bundle. Now get 1 gigabyte daily to enjoy more YouTube. Plus 1 gigabyte daily to like more TikTok videos. It's simply more entertainment bundled together. Get a 7-day bundle for $35 in my Digicel. More apps, more data, more fun. Digicel, better together.
Running low on groceries? Why not visit realvalueiga.com and experience our new online shopping platform? Place your order, then go out and enjoy your day to spend more time with friends and family. Delivery available within select locations or in-store pickup available. Sounds simple, right? It is. Stress less, live more with Real Value IGA online store, where good food begins.
Let's get tough on breed your larceny. It will destroy our economy. Larceny threatens our food security. Can hurt us locally, hurt us globally. To all the buyers, ask for license from all produce sellers. To all people, 300 for police for them thieving fellas. To all the farmers, don't steal produce from your brother. Then you sell it to traffickers, hotels and street vendors. Nah, man. Let's do all we can to stop radio larceny. New vigilance, new laws, and a tough judiciary. Stop Grenada's organized business crime. It's time.
To report pre-deal larceny, call 300.
Introducing Color by Seasons. 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 Color by Seasons.
To see my granddaughter.
Grenada's chief medical officer has ordered that all confirmed positive COVID-19 individuals, their contacts, and members of their household must remain in quarantine or isolation for 14 days. Anyone who fails to comply with this order will be in breach of the Public Health COVID-19 Regulations 2020 and is guilty of an offense. Upon summary conviction, that person will be liable to a penalty of up to $10,000. A message from the Ministry of Health.
I am your mother,
aunt, grandmother,
guardian, friend, and I promise to protect you in all situations because someone has hurt you, violated you, harmed you, abused you, and you were brave enough to tell me. You trusted me. You came to me for help, to defend, for support, to protect you.
No amount of money
or bribes, favors, or gifts will stop me. You are most important to me.
You are worth more to me than any material thing.
I will do all in my power,
in my heart,
to make sure that you are taken care of and that justice is served and you thrive. Together, my daughter,
my son,
my child, we will live and love. I will protect you.
Break the silence. Report all cases of child sexual abuse.
Greetings, everyone. I hope this message meets you and yours in the best of health as we join in encouraging all to act responsibly.
COVID-19 presents the most serious
and deadly challenge any of us will experience in our lifetimes.
We must act now.
We need to keep the Caribbean safe.
We can all help to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Please stay at home.
So Caribbean people, please stay home.
Caribbean people, please stay at home.
Please stay home. It's that simple. This too shall pass. But for now, stay home.
Stay in your yard. Stay home, stay safe.
You have no guarantee what's going to happen to you in the next couple of hours or minutes. So let's just live life in the present. Welcome back to our viewers that have just joined us on television. Those of you chiming in probably via the World Wide Web at www.gbn.gd or via our YouTube page, our Facebook page, or wherever you are, it's indeed a pleasure. Welcome back to the mid-morning buzz. It is what's the time? It is 17 minutes gone past the hour in the morning. It is the 18th day of the month of October. Who would have possibly imagined, that here we are? I'm literally started thinking about Christmas. Well, literally the rule is once Carnival is over and I don't Carnival doesn't bother me, then I'm ready for Christmas. I'm ready for sorrel ginger. Actually, as a matter of fact, I don't wait for Christmas to get sorrel and ginger beer. I enjoy sorrel and ginger beer. To really wow me for Christmas, you got to give me something out of the blues. So I already have some volunteers on the inside. Yeah, Mr. Courtney has promised me a Ferrari. Mr. Clifford John has promised me a year of. I wouldn't expose him. My good boy Nicky, he tells me he's going to pay my mobile bill for me for the upcoming year. But that being said, I've put a smile on their face. I'll introduce them. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
We are all wonderful today.
Good morning, Joseph. You only sang as you all wake up yet, man. Gentlemen, good morning.
We are alive and well. We are alive and well.
We're very much awake. I don't want to outshine you on, because you know me. I live for the moment. I live for the moment. Gentlemen, good morning. I know it's a busy schedule. We're here. There's a lot that we have to cover. Again, good morning. October is special in more ways than one. Traditionally, we hear about Child's Month and everything else. We hear about the month of the elderly. And only yesterday, Nick, you and I, we were talking. Very often, gentlemen, we talk about where we are as a society, and we chide our young people for a lot of their misgivings. But very often, I always say that wherever our children, where they are presently, is a function of where we, the adults, have failed them one way or the other. And sitting at that is a conversation of how we treat our senior citizens. It has become an ever constant, it's a sore point for a lot of us. And certainly I'm going to kickstart the conversation with you, Nick, because I know from you and I, it's a conversation that we share passionately. What has gone wrong in the way as a society we've failed to recognize our senior citizens, those that have paved the way for you and I to be where we are today?
Well, good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, PD, Martinique, and everyone who's listening on the World Wide Web, wherever you're. A bright and prosperous morning to you. Thankful for being here in the land of the living. God has given me the blessing of life this morning. I'm going to take it from here and go forth and do what He has placed me here to do. And that question you asked, Joseph, is a wide question. It's a societal question to be answered. Personally, I grew up with my great-great-grandmother. I saw my great-great-great-grandmother. So I have been around the elderly all my life. And they have dispersed so much information to me as a young person, and I've carried that through my lifetime. I think what has happened is that generational gap has just gotten so wide that the elderly has been, with lack of a better word, parked up and placed in a corner. And yes, but no, we need to integrate them into our society, into our lives, engage with them, speak with them, acknowledge them. Yeah. And we will see a big difference in what we do. We would not neglect them. We would not show them love and appreciation. Once you start speaking with an elderly, your whole perception of your life and everything changes, because you realize there's so much more that you don't know, that these people have this information. And I think we really and truly need to get back to the extended family and bringing that back together. Everybody is now cocooned in their little silo, and they think they're the king in their little kingdom. But listen, we are living in a society. The African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, if it takes a village to raise a child, what does it do? What does it have to be? The whole country will have to be for elderly, right? Because they're the one that build the foundation. They're the one that set the foundation for us to be here and to be able to do what we're doing. If it wasn't for them, we would not be here. And I don't want to take Mr. John's thunder away, but we do the same thing with the disabled. And that has to stop also. Yeah. And that's where I think we need to integrate these people back into a society and appreciate them for what they have done in the past. And, then they continue to do. A lot of them continue to do it, even without recognition, without thanks, with everybody being on their backs. They still continue to do what they do.
Who would have possibly imagined we could be such an ungrateful nation? You look at you look at regions, areas, countries that we don't quite understand, but the Asian subcontinent, the Koreans, the Japanese, and one of the strengths that they have as a society is the respect that they have for their senior citizens. That's how these families, these societies, that's how they are grown. They understand and they respect and listen. Our forefathers, they are the foundations, and total respect for them. Mr. Courtney, from the desk of the elderly, from your position, I'm assuming you concur full-heartedly with Mr. Snaggs?
Yes, and good morning again. Mr. Snagg spoke of the issue of the extended family being something of the past, which is very true. What we are also seeing at Grenada as a whole has an aging population. The world is aging, but Grenada, specific to Grenada, we have an aging population where the last statistics we saw from the Central Statistical Office is that 25% of our population is will be over the age of 60 as of last year. And what that leads to is there is and what causes that, I should say first, is that there is a decline in fertility rates and an increase in life expectancy, which leads to an aging population. What that leads to a lot of social issues, and governments around the world would have to find creative ways to mitigate against the challenges that we face with an aging population, in terms of there will be a need for more persons to care, there will be less people to work, and there will be an increase in the cost for healthcare services. So the move away from the extended family, as well as we having an aging population, contributes to the issue of our society not being able to, should I say, have respect and value our older persons. That's what I'll say.
But that is an interesting assessment before I get to Mr. John, because you would hear the same arguments being made about China and the Asian population. But certainly the sort of disrespect and challenges that we have as a society, not necessarily that you can compare, but it points to the fact that there is some more ingrown societal issues that needs to be addressed. Mr. John, you're president of the Council of the Disabled, and certainly it's not just the elderly, but even persons that have come with different challenges in life. They too seem to be marginalized in how they are treated in society.
That's right. And I mean, from an organization, and I welcome this morning, thank God we have people like Mr. Snagg and the gentleman representing the elderly, that we can be on a program like this to share our concerns. But sometimes we don't all have the answers, but being out there, doing some form of advocacy, we gave to get some answers can help us. Because sometimes you lean politically just to governments, but they change, and if our policies are not right, we tend to deviate from certain situations. What I believe that is happening to us is we are not communicating enough. We have an organization and it's functional, yes, but the information from our organization, because we are doing some in-depth search in our organization to realize that it's not that people are not doing certain things or things are not happening. We are not letting people know what we stand for the people we represent. If we give them an in-depth, like sometimes you make a newscast once a month, and that is not sufficient because you have people working within that time you're making newscasts, so we need to repeat certain things that we're doing. We need to be more up in front, letting people know that here there's somebody that is caring for you. There's an organization that is working on your behalf. This is the information that we have before you, so you can look at it and see what we can do, how we can assist. Because from our point, it's not just somebody born with a disability, but people become challenged as they go along, an accident or some form of illness and something, and we coincide with each other, the elderly, the gap, everybody, we work together. If we can have a unison where we can function and share information, at the end of the day, I think we'll be a better people helping the society, and people recognizing that even though somebody has a challenge, that don't mean they need to stay back. They need to also be on the front line, because somebody can have a challenge with a leg, but they can be on a radio station as you are this morning. I'm not seeing your legs, but you are vocal, you're live, you are well, and you're sharing some information that can help other people on the outside.
And very often, gentlemen, whether it be Nicholas, you at GAP, Mr. Courtney from the Desk of the Elderly, or Clifford from the Council of the represent the disabled community, we often seem to think that in order to help, I have to be able to give a check for $1,000. But what we're saying, there are little simple day-to-day things that we can do, Nick, to help a retired person, to help a disabled person, to help Courtney, somebody that is elderly. Nick, starting with you, what are some of the stigmas, though? Let's deal with some of the stigmas that's been handed down, and how do they affect us?
Well, people look at the elderly like they're not no longer useful in the society or functional, or once you are retired, you go home and sit on your couch and watch TV all day and basically disappear.
That's not true. I thought that's what. I thought honestly that's what happened. That's not true.
No, that's not true. That's far from the truth.
Well, rearrange my ignorance today.
Think about it. There's some psychological things that happens when somebody gets ready to retire. They start thinking that I'm no longer useful. I'm no longer defined by what I do. I am Mr. So-and-so and I do. I'm Mrs. So-and-so and I do. And then you say, I'm Mrs. So-and-so and there's no more I do behind that. What is that? So mentally, we have to start preparing for that day when it comes along and is rushing at us very quickly, as Mr. Courtney has rightfully told us. So what we need to do is start thinking ahead of time. I start thinking when talking to my younger friends, I says, when they're like 25, 30, you need to start thinking about your retirement now. Now's the time to do it. Because if you start now, it becomes easier as you go along. Yeah? But no, there's so much things a retired person can get themselves involved with. Think about all the things you wanted to do when you were 25, 30, 40, and you never got a chance to do it. Now is the time. You have the time to do it. If you want to do gardening, go and do it. You're interested in orchids, go and do it. You're interested in doing husbandry, having animals, go and do it. There's nothing stopping you from doing it. Now, the other side of it is the financial side. You may not be prepared for the financial reality of retirement. You no longer have that check coming in every month. What do you do? How do you meet your commitments? You may have a mortgage still. The kids have moved away and they're not interested in Grenada or whatever, and you are still here trying to put all these pieces together. So it's a complicated thing. But if you want to help, as you alluded before, we had some youths came in to GAR and simply called our membership to do a wellness check on them. That's something you can do. You in your neighborhood, you know who the elders are in your neighborhood. You see them. They're moving about. They're going to their grocery stores. They're doing all kinds of different things. Why can't you just approach them and say, "Good morning, miss. How are you today? How's things going?" Conversation. Speak to the person. Acknowledge them. Let them know you see them there in the neighborhood. Speak to them. Engage them in some conversation. They might be doing something in their garden. They might see a plant or herb you never saw before. Ask them, "What is that? How do you use that?" Yeah? They have that knowledge and they're willing to pass it on. Yeah? Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Some of them could be quite jaded because of the way they were treated in the past. So you have to give them a little give and take where that is concerned. Yeah. But at the same time, if you don't give up, they will open up to you over a period of time. If you come to them genuinely, offering them some type of assistance or even just a friendship, a conversation, they will accept that.
And Mr. John, we talked about the stigmas. And I'm certain from your position, persons that comes with different disabilities, while they may be open to help, they sometimes question the sincerity of those offering it, because it always can come, there is that stigma that comes with he or she not being a particular way. And they're seen as being different, quote unquote. But that's not necessarily the case, is it?
That's right. No, it's not necessarily the case, but it seems like that at the moment. And that's why we start from our organization trying to see what it is we can really do to avoid such. And even sometimes families that, you enter home sometimes to visit, families who you understand that, there is someone here that is a challenge and they hide them away and things like that. But the question is, I think if we are more open with situations, we get better answers. When we seclude ourselves and we execute ourselves on certain situations, there is not the possibility to assist in certain areas. And we challenge every day with that. And we see, and I think what we need to do, and I believe from where I sit, I've always been vocal, I'm saying, we can't depend people to just do things. We have to give them the information that when they get it and understand it, then they can share it. Because it's difficult for me to pass somebody in my community, elderly especially, without saying good morning. I'm looking for something. I'm willing to learn what it is that you did. You are 70-something years of age, still on your 2 feet walking, just as myself. What it is that you did to help me or to help my family be in a better position. Sometimes it might not be just help, but just a mind, a clear mind of facing the day. You wake up in the morning and say, this is the day the Lord has made. I will enjoy, despite of my challenges. So just a peace of mind should give you the help that you need to function on a day like today. And there are a lot of challenges. I believe there is hope, and I believe we work collectively, see where the problem actually is, because sometimes we cut the branches, but the roots remain. We need to get to the roots and see if there is a problem in the roots, because sometimes the problem in the foundation shows up at the roof, and you think the roof has a problem, but it was the foundation. So we need to go back to see where we are and see what we are doing, if we can make a difference.
Mr. Courtney, Mr. John is pointing to going back to the foundation. From where you sit at the desk of the elderly, what are some of the greater challenges that you've come across? And from a ministry's position, what are some of the practical things that you've been doing? And what are the ways in which people can get on board in assisting? And what in your estimation is, and that was shocking to me to this morning, an Asian population in Grenada. Honestly, we've always heard the stats that we have 60 plus 12% of our population is under the age of 35, and those are stats that we flaunt openly. But whoever ever asked about the other 30 plus, where are they? What's the plan? What can we do, Mr. Courtney?
Yes, thank you again. Just to piggyback on what was said previously in relation to the stigmas associated with older persons, our mindset as a people have to change, in that we should be able to honor and respect older persons, as you quite rightly mentioned, Mr. Cadore. In countries like Japan, you see there is a love and appreciation for older persons, and that goes to the mindset of the population. We here in Grenada, we have an idea and we have a mindset that I'll be forever young. So as Mr. Snag said, there's no planning in place. As early as your first job, if you start working at 18 years, that should be at least the first step in terms of planning for your retirement and for your older years. But we live our lives throughout our 25s and our 30s and our 40s. And by the time we're 58, and we realize that it's time for retirement, we're now looking to try to scramble to put things in place, which leads to a lot of issues that we're facing in Grenada at the moment. In terms of our ministry, that leads to issues of abuse and neglect of older persons. As I said, there are less persons to care for older people. A lot of older persons now live by themselves, and there is no assistance for them. And they're susceptible to to abuse. And we're seeing a lot of neglect as well, as I mentioned. Family members are not pulling their weight. They're dependent on government and our Ministry of Social Development to do what is required, what they should be doing. So that poses a challenge for us in terms of having to meet the needs of a lot of persons, where if there is a collaborative approach between persons in the community, family members, and the ministry and the government, then we can see a better outcome for older persons. You ask the question of what are we doing at the moment? We are in the process of trying to finalize an aging policy, which will speak to all the aspects of an older person in terms of transportation, housing, access to health care, access to legal services, the whole gambit of existence. So we're there, we're trying, and we're liaising with our stakeholders, GAP and GNCD and Food and Nutrition and all the other stakeholders, to see how we can have a collaborative approach to change the mindset, one, of the population, to appreciate and understand and to honor older persons in our community.
It would definitely take a re-education, a deep and concentrated re-education to people. We're keeping our eyes on the clock for those of you that's just joining us, and those of you who's probably home or you're on the way on your private vehicles on the way to the job. In 25 minutes on to the hour of 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock workers, you have just about 15 minutes. It is 25 to the hour, but you have 15 minutes to get there on time. For those of you just joining us, my guest this morning, Mr. Courtney from the Desk of the Elderly, Nicholas Snaggs, representing GAP, and Mr. John from Council of the Disabled. Nick, we hear in policies, but very often, and I'm going to go right back to you, Mr. Courtney, before I get Mr. John and Nick too. Is this a talk shop event? Is this politicians wanting to thumb their chest to say we've done this, or is this something that the ministry is committed to, understanding that it must be done? It's now or never?
Yes, it's something that we are very passionate about as a ministry. We have done a lot of the legwork already in terms of having consultations and putting things in place. The COVID has really dampened the process and slowed the process, because we were hoping to have that process completed already. But that's true. Slow down the process, but we're at a stage where we're working with our partners. Ministry of Health is one of our partners. PAHO as well is involved. So it's something that we're really passionate about, and we're hoping that we can have it in place. And then from the policies, we should have legislation which would speak to the care and protection of older persons in the tri-island state.
Snaggs, policies, legislations, it brings a smile to your face?
Yes, it does. I've been around GARP for a long time, and I'm reading some of the literature and information that's been there. GARP has been involved in that process since 2009. That tell you how long we've been working with the Desk of the Elderly. We have a true partnership with that division of the government. So what I would like to do is increase my partnership with Mr. John and his projects that he's working with, so that because some of our elderlies are exactly his members too, so we need to be working together cohesively. We cannot be separate anyway, and that's the way we're doing. And we are also looking out and reaching out to other regional associations, GARP and BARP in Barbados. They assisted us with some things for COVID for our members, Trinidad, all those, they have these organizations. But Joseph, at the core of this thing, right? Mr. Courtney alluded to it. We have to start respecting our elders, and we have to appreciate the differently enabled people of our society. And they can produce, they can provide in our society. Listen, the society is aging. We cannot change that. Yeah? We have to be able to see how much of this we can put to the productive side of society. If we park them up, they're unproductive. And the younger ones coming up, they're going to start thinking, well, why do I have to pay all these taxes to support these people? No, come on. Let us start the process now. Let us put the things in place. Let us start educating people about it. Joseph, one of my best teachers in sales taught me, the customer don't know what he don't know. And here's the kicker. The customer don't know he don't know. Same thing goes on with our society. If they don't know there's a problem, if they don't know this thing is coming up, they don't know it. We have to educate them and let them know this is the problem, and this is what we see happening, and here are some suggestions of how we can solve it. What do you think? How can we work? Let's come together. Let us unite and say, okay, this is my idea, this is your idea. If we put them two together, we have something excellent, and we can come forward and start, being the society that we would like to be, and seeing our society grow from strength to strength. Grenada is a beautiful place. The climate, the culture, and everything is a phenomenal in the whole Caribbean. Is a phenomenon. We now have to look internally to us and see how we can all rise on this tide that we're floating on right now. We need to start taking care of our elderlies. We need to be taking responsibility for our disabled, and we need to be able to provide for them in a meaningful way. Yeah, we cannot be showing up and giving them a token. No, we have to be meaningful. We have to take care of the mind, the body, and the soul.
While we talk about taking care of the mind, and I know this is as gentlemen, as I said to Nick yesterday, I'm hoping that this be an ongoing conversation, that we can make this a road trip conversation, because there's so much that we can deal with. But it would be remiss if we don't touch on COVID as time expires for today's segment. COVID has unveiled some ugly sides of who we are as a people, and I'm almost certain that Mr. John, that it is no different for persons that you care for, yourself and your team, that are challenged in one way or the other. What are some of the things that has been brought to the fore during COVID?
Well, it brought everything to the fore, because actually it's not just the people that we serve, we ourselves were challenged. Because some of us, came down with the same COVID and things like that, so it restricted us from getting a lot of things done. But when we look at the people we serve and the challenge, for instance, somebody that has visually impaired and they have to be moving around, it's such a disadvantage to be moving around, and you can't, you're not doing the protocols that it should be. You don't know the distance where the 6 feet line is or whatever. It is a real challenge for us. And I think that brought us back to the table even more, to realize that, the things that we don't expect would happen, or we think that it would not happen. But normally what we faced in our islands, like the Caribbean, is that it's not Grenada, it's the States, so it's in the UK. These things happen up there, but it actually came home. So we actually had the situation and said, look, we didn't expect this. We expected this, but not to this great extent. So now we can't leave anything out on the table. You got to take everything and make sure everything is inclusive in what we do. And this is an opportunity here. I think COVID to me has brought something good, where we can be on a program like this with the elderly and also with Mr. Snag. And I must say and compliment the government, not just of today, but the governments that represent people with disability, that we always have, up to today, we have increased a good work with the Ministry of Social Development. Everything we do, they involve us within it, so we are part of it. And this helps us from that perspective, that we can, whatever we are doing, it gives us a better advantage to execute it, because we have the policies that we could function with. But COVID has brought, it's bad, but also, to me, it has brought a very good thing. That's where we are at this stage today.
Mr. Courtney, we're not going to highlight on the negatives of COVID. What are some of the opportunities? I'm going to give you a minute to touch on that. What are some of the opportunities that COVID has brought this to the elderly to realize that, listen, while this is where we are, it gives us an opportunity to use this as a footpath to go forward?
Well, in terms of positives, COVID has really strengthened our ability to collaborate with many of our stakeholders in meeting the needs of older persons in the child estate. Especially in the diaspora, persons in the diaspora have been providing human service in terms of providing PPEs and different diapers and mobility aids, etc. for persons, older persons, especially in our geriatric homes. They have been providing that support to them. We're also looking at seeing how we can strengthen the whole process, the whole desk of the elderly and the work of the ministry in terms of the elderly. As COVID, as you rightly said, has unmasked a lot of issues facing older persons, with abuse and neglect being on top of the pinnacle in that regard.
Gentlemen, I know it breaks my heart, but we have to leave this conversation now for the fear of because of the limitation of time. But I promise you, gentlemen, that you have a home here at the GBN. I really want us to make this a road trip. I'm going to give you each of you 30 seconds. Nick, I know you're good at math. I'm starting with you, so you're going to set the thread. 30 seconds, your final parting word for this morning.
Let us care for our elderly. Let us care for our disabled. Let us be kind for them. Let us not neglect them or prop them up. They are part of our society. They are worthy of our praise and our admiration. Let us look after them with passion.
Mr. John, 30 seconds.
I don't want to leave without saying, we thank God to Mr. Crow from the States that have been supplying a lot of stuff for the people with disability. I just want to say we can use the supermarkets to put up a sign inside it saying, respect our elders.
The only one I'm going to extend an additional courtesies to you, Mr. Courtney. I'm going to give you a minute because I know October is special and we didn't get a chance to get into some of the specifics, but we will, believe me. But I'm just going to give you a minute, though, to highlight October as we're recognizing the month of the elderly, and quickly just run through some of the activities that you have planned for them and the theme, if ever there's one, for the month.
Okay, so thank you again. So October 1st is International Day of Older Persons. And the theme for this year is Digital Equity for All Ages, which speaks to older persons having access to the digital world and the inequalities that exist for older persons in having that access. Leading from that, we in Grenada, we celebrate the month of the elderly in October. And we were putting plans in place to have many activities, but again, COVID reared its ugly head around August, which kind of prohibited us from doing what we really wanted to do. So we have had media appearances, we resorted to doing media appearances. Colleagues of mine have been on other programs to speak to issues of the elderly, and we're trying to do maybe advocacy through the media during the month of the elderly and going forward. Before I leave, just to say, on behalf of the Desk of the Elderly, our condolences to the older persons who have died as a result of COVID, and older persons in general, but generally to COVID. And we wish that their families will be comforted in this time.
Indeed, we wish them the same. Gentlemen, thank you. Appreciate the time and the effort. I think we can all agree that this is a call for change. And collectively, we can make it if we try a little harder. We have done, but whatever has been done, it's history. We live in the present. Let's use the present as the opportune time to make a difference, be a change agent in our society. Nicholas Snaggs from GAP, Mr. Courtney from the Desk of the Elderly, Clifford John from Council of Disabled. Gentlemen, good morning, and we are going to continue these conversations as time progresses. Have yourself a great one. 12 minutes onto the hour of 8 o'clock. We are behind traffic by about 3 minutes. We'll take a quick commercial break, though, and we'll be right back, right here on Classic in the morning time.
Grenada Electricity Services Limited will host its 62nd annual meeting of shareholders virtually on Zoom on Thursday, 21st October at 10 a.m. Each attendee is required to register. To ensure that attendees are shareholders or proxies, registrants must be verified by the ECSE. To allow adequate time for this process, we encourage shareholders to register early. Visit grenleg.com or call Grenleg at 237 for registration details.
Get Rubicast. Get cooking.
cooking. Ruby Gas, clean, safe, and reliable LPG is the perfect solution for your commercial and everyday needs. For cooking at home or barbecuing, choose Ruby Gas LPG cylinders. Available in a variety of sizes from 20 to 100 pound cylinders. Ruby Gas LPG, clean, safe, reliable. Are you cooking with Ruby Gas?
Get going.
Getting ready to link back with a good welcome back to our viewers on television, Channel 7, Channel 11, Channel 20. If you are on cable, we're getting ready to link up with Junior Checklist somewhere from Just School Media. And I think we should be ready for this morning's traffic cam. Master Control, is he ready for us, or do we get a chance to do our own thing? But traffic cam comes up right about now.
We're playing a gift from the Soviet Union to use in agriculture. So this morning, traffic cam take you down a journey down memory lane to the Pearls Airstrip, which was once used in 1943 for the landing of Allied planes, and after that it was turned into a civilian airport. But because of its location, it was unsuitable for further development. So in 1984, Pearls was replaced by the now known Morris Bishop International Airport. And now the Pearls Airstrip is mainly used for drag racing or people learning to drive. Good morning to all the listeners of GBN Radio, those on GBN TV. Welcome to this Monday morning traffic cam. We taking you on a journey down a memory lane, which once used to be air traffic on this airport. The Pearls Airport was opened in 1943, and while it was open and used for Allied planes during World War II, and after the war it was turned into a civilian airport. And LIAT, or Leeward Islands Air Transport, 48-seater turboprop, used to carry passengers from Grenada to other Caribbean islands. And on the airport currently we have two wrecks, an AN-22 Cuban Airlines and an AN-2R biplane, which was a gift to Grenada from the Soviet Union to use for spraying for agriculture. And the two wrecks are still parked there. And the Pearls Airstrip was replaced in 1984 by the Morris Bishop International Airport at Point Saline. So now the Pearls Airstrip is used for storage. It's also the military base, a base for the SSU, RGPF, also where you come to get your vehicle licensed and inspect, and also where they do hot mix to repair roads. So just taking you a journey down memory lane. This plane is about to take off.
The team there from Just Cool Media, less of traffic information, but more quite some vital information regarding the Pearls Airstrip. We're keeping our eyes on the clock. It is 6 minutes on to the hour. We're getting ready to say goodbye to you. But certainly those of you in television, you still get a chance to enjoy the picturesque view of the Pearls Airstrip. to dive you literally on Monday morning. It certainly makes you wishing that we were up there. For those of you that is on on radio though, certainly we're getting ready to say goodbye to you in just a bit. By the way of information, and at the top of the hour we're going to provide you with a bulletin of news from the BBC. I will then rejoin you in television at 9 o'clock. At that point, I'll be having To The Point, and my guest this morning is going to be President of the Grenada Union of Teachers, Jude Bartholomew, and that's in fact in the plans for the day. So as you go through the day, 8 o'clock workers, you should already be on the job and getting ready to deliver service at 8 o'clock, right? And certainly that is a plan. For those of you headed in there for 9 o'clock, we certainly wish you, and wherever you are, whether you're already on the JOB, you just about getting ready to start at 8 o'clock, or you're still at home getting ready to head in at whatever time, make sure it's a day of productivity. Make sure it's a day that you give the best that you can. Allow today to be a learning experience, and certainly once you do that, you can be satisfied. And look, I've done my best, and literally, it's whatever you do when you're on the JOB, be selfish about it. It only builds your resume, and think about it. You know what? I'm doing this for me, because the only time you recognize the importance of your job is when you're without one. You complain about it, and then when you're without it, then you realize, oh my word. Either way, folks, we're getting ready to say goodbye to you 5 minutes onto the hour in the morning time. At the top of the hour is going to be a bulletin of news from the BBC. Until then, everyone, so long, everybody. Reminding you, COVID-19 protocols, go out there, do what you have to do. The wearing of the mask. Yeah, my mask is always here with me. My mask is never far. So too my hand sanitizer. It is. And see what I have? A nice little baby size, a pocket size one that I can just nicely, it's easy to carry around. Listen, folks, it's nothing difficult. We're not expecting you to walk with a 5-gallon bucket of water or a big bottle, a spray, or whatever it is. Nice little baby size one. You can buy the bottle and just transfer your items into it, and you can have it. So long, everybody. Peace and love. JC loves you. I'm out of here. Have yourself a really, really, really great day. Continue to live life and love life. There are some folks who posted birthday greetings on the YouTube channel, not on YouTube, and WhatsApp later. I'm going to attend to them when we return after 8 o'clock. Yeah, a little bit of delayed birthday greetings. Delayed, but not denied. So long, everybody. JC loves you. I am out of here.